Welcome back to the Game Code. We returned back to Games People Play to speak with Shawn Kehoe, the Director of Gaming with Hal-Con. Shawn organized a Board Games 101 event seminar and social event for the local board gamers. We're here with Shawn Kehoe, who's the mastermind behind this event here. Shawn, obviously Games People Play is an awesome place to have an event like this, but this is strictly a board games event, correct?
Yeah, we're just doing board games at this event because we know there's a lot of people who want to try out these board games, but they don't know anyone who plays, or they're intimidated about playing with new people. So we just wanted to have sort of a board games only event so people could try new stuff.
Aside from the obvious reasons, why did you choose to have the event here?
Well, it was a combination of there's a great amount of table space. I mean, it's a great place to have an event like this. Also, Games People Play is a new store, and we want to support new stores in Halifax because, everyone wins when there's more places to play games.
So what kind of games do you have here today? I've seen Settlers of Catan. What else do we have?
We have Settlers of Catan, Ticket to Ride. We also have some newer games like X-Wing, which is a miniatures game in the Star Wars universe, and Lords of Waterdeep, which is sort of related to Dungeons and Dragons. So we've got sort of a variety of things people might recognize and things people haven't seen before.
So you're thinking the classics. You've got your Risk, The Game of Life, Monopoly. These are still classics, obviously, but what would you consider to be the new classics?
The new classics, I think Settlers of Catan is sort of the game that opened up this sort of new age of board games in North America, at least. I'd say that. I would also say Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne. Those are the games everybody knows.
Some of these games look a little intimidating to a beginner. What would you recommend maybe for someone who's pretty new to games?
If you're new, again, I think Ticket to Ride is a great entry point. Also, Flux and Munchkin are very simple sort of family games. They're kind of silly and, and they're very popular. So the people have spoken there, I think.
Some games can be pretty long and daunting. Are there any you'd recommend that would have maybe a shorter playtime?
For shorter playtime, yeah, you're wanting to look at, again, simpler games. Flux is a good example. Cash and Guns is a very simple party game. Yeah, those would both be good examples.
Now, you're the director of gaming for Hal-Con. You're pretty in touch with the gaming scene here in the city. How healthy is the gaming scene here in Halifax?
Oh, it's very vibrant. There are, there's events going on here at Games People Play. There's weekly events over at Quantum Frontier, at Monster Comics. There are groups who meet at the Sobeys on Mumford Road. So there's a wide variety of activities going on.
When you think of the alternatives to board games, thinking like video games, there's a correlation between a fan base for both board games and video games.
Absolutely.
Why do you think people who enjoy board games also enjoy video games as well?
Well, I mean, they're different things. Like, a video game obviously can be very immersive in terms of the graphics and the storyline and so on. But whereas a board game, there's more of a social activity. I mean, even when you're playing multiplayer with your friends, you're doing it on a headset where the audio quality can be kind of dodgy. And that's different from having them right across from you and seeing the look on their face when you do whatever horrible thing you do to them in the course of the game.
Do you play video games yourself?
Oh, sure, yeah.
What games do you play?
I don't really play first-person shooters anymore. Right now, I'm mostly playing RPGs and puzzle games. Yep.
I'm going to give you the name of a video game, and give me a quick blast about what you think would be a good tabletop game to suggest to maybe a fan of that game.
Absolutely.
World of Warcraft.
I would not recommend the World of Warcraft board game.
Why is that?
It does. I don't think that the two match up very well. For the World of Warcraft board game, people might want to try Runebound by Fantasy Flight Games or Mage Knight, the board game by WizKids. They're both that kind of level up, beat monsters, get loot kind of thing.
What about Civilization?
Civilization, well, that one, you definitely want to try Clash of Cultures, which is basically Civilization with the serial numbers filed off. Fantastic game.
Let's try SimCity.
I don't know. There's a bunch of city building games, but they're very different than SimCity. So, yeah, I don't know quite what the SimCity correlation would be.
How about Final Fantasy?
Final Fantasy. Well, I mean, I guess the obvious answer there people would say go play an RPG like Dungeons and Dragons. But there's also games like there's a great game called Super Dungeon Explorer, which is a dungeon crawl board game, but it's very much in the style of 8-bit and 16-bit games. And like, I mean, they've got a character who looks just like Link and stuff. So that would be probably a good one.
How about Call of Duty?
Call of Duty. Well, Steve Jackson Games actually makes a game called Frag, which is supposed to be a game about playing first-person shooters. Like, you can play lag cards on the other guy. So that might be the closest game to Call of Duty you could possibly get.
Finally, Portal.
Oh, dear. Board games are limited by gravity. I don't know how we could do Portal.
That's awesome. So you're pretty plugged into the gaming scene here in Halifax. Where can people meet other gamers, aside from obviously places like Games People Play?
There's a couple of options there. People who are interested in RPGs can go look at a website called www.gelatinousdudes.com. They specify they are specialized in role-playing games. People who are interested in board games, there's a site called meetup.com, and there's a group on it called Halifax Game Night. And they keep track of every game event in the city, the ones at Quantum, the ones here at the Games People Play, the things Hal-Con does, all of that stuff. And of course, people can always go to the Hal-Con Facebook group, and there's discussions of games there as well.
Awesome. Shawn, thanks so much.
Thank you.
What is readily apparent, however, is the literally face-melting awesome that is the soundtrack of Half Minute Hero.